Hey friends, welcome back to College Sports Corner. I'm Barry. Wow, man, what a championship Saturday we had, huh? We had some disappointments, of course, close finishes, some pretty good games, and some teams that didn't show up for their game like we thought they were. Anyway, we're going to go over all that. Hey, before we start, if you like the show, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell whoever. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the CFP rankings. I'm sure everybody's seen them by now, but keep in mind all these teams for a second, okay? 1 Alabama, 2 Michigan, 3 Georgia, 4 Cincinnati. There's your playoff teams. Let's see, 5 Notre Dame, 6 Ohio State, 7 Baylor, 8 Ole Miss, 9 Oklahoma State, 10 Michigan State. 11 is Utah, 12 is Pitt, 13 BYU, 14 Oregon, 15 Iowa, 16 Oklahoma, 17 Wake Forest, 18 North Carolina State, 19 Clemson, 20 is Houston, 21 Arkansas, 22 Kentucky, 23 Louisiana, 24 is San Diego State, and 25 is Texas A&M. Okay, keeping that in mind, if we had expanded playoff, maybe even 24 teams like the FCS is doing, we'll go over their stuff here in a minute. There'd be some good games. Yes, there'd be some blowouts. At the end of the day, there'd be people saying, well, that team shouldn't have been there because look what happened to them. Yes, but that happens all the time in every sport, and it happens every week in college football. But that would give us fans so much more college football to enjoy. And like we're fixing over the FCS here in a minute, they start at 24 teams. They're down to 8, and it's only the second week of December coming up. So it can be done. All this crap, these ADs and university presidents, and even some of these networks, people on the network saying, oh, it never work. Well, FCS is doing it just fine, and it's working just fine. So we're getting screwed out of some pretty good matchup games there. So anyway, that's my rant about the CFP. Let's get to some news. Bama wide receiver John Mitchell III, he's out for the playoffs. He's got an ACL injury, won't be back. That's unfortunate. If I remember right, he had a touchdown and almost 100 yards receiving Saturday night against Georgia. So unfortunate for him. This is a weird story. Miami is pursuing Oregon coach Mark Cristobal. They want him as the coach, I'm guessing. That's what it looks like. But yet Manny Diaz is still employed as the coach there. I mean, how does that make Manny Diaz feel? I mean, I think he's out there. I think already he's out there recruiting right now on the recruiting trail, and your employer is looking for somebody to replace you. Is that just not crap? I mean, I've even seen people say online that Manny Diaz just ought to tell Miami to screw off and quit. But I don't know. But anyway, that's just a weird situation right there. Kind of remember, what was that, Auburn several years back when they supposedly they flew to go meet Bobby Petrino or meet some coach or something to get them to go to Auburn while Tuberville was still coaching there at Auburn at the time. That was a weird situation. Okay, OU is looking at Clemson defensive coordinator Brent Venables to replace Lincoln Riley as their head coach. Venables was there for 13 years under Bob Stoops, even helped them win the national championship in 2000. So I think Oklahoma fans would probably be pretty happy with that, with Brent Venables coming back. He ran all those defenses there at Oklahoma for about 13 years under Bob Stoops. Louisiana, Billy Napier left to go to Florida. They promoted co-offensive coordinator Mike Desormeaux, I guess I say it, to head coach. So good for them. They got their head coach position filled. Colorado State fired head coach Steve Addazio. They weren't happy with his job he's doing. And if you remember back in week 2, maybe 1, 2, or 3, they lost at home to South Dakota State Jackrabbits. So that may have been a nail in his coffin right there. But anyway, he's out. So Colorado State's looking for a new coach. This one here, kind of weird. Virginia head coach Bronco Mendenhall, he's stepping down after 31 years of coaching. Yeah, he's at Virginia, or he was at Virginia. Saying something wants to spend more time with his family and other things. So, good luck to you, Coach Mendenhall. Did a pretty good job while you were there. This is another weird, we're just full of weird stories today. Mark Turgeon, basketball coach of Maryland. Him and Maryland have agreed to go part ways mutually, I guess that's how they're putting it. Makes you wonder why, because he won a Big Ten title a few years ago, and he took Maryland to 5 of the last 6 NCAA tournaments. I don't remember how they did in those tournaments. I have to go back and look at that, but maybe they just decide they want to get somebody to take them to the Final Four every year, which that's a tough job, but maybe they can find somebody. This is just bad news for Oregon. Oregon OC Joe Moorhead, he left, and he's going to be Akron's new head coach. So they lost their OC, and they may lose their head coach to Miami. So I guess if you're an Oregon fan, start worrying. All right, so these games Saturday. Conference USA is a pretty good game. It was pretty even until second quarter. UTSA outscored Western Kentucky by 11 points. UTSA 49, Western Kentucky 41. Frank Harris for UTSA, 19 for 28, 218 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also rushed for 81 yards and a touchdown. Run back Sincere McCormick, 36 carries, 204 yards, 3 touchdowns. Damn good day for him. Brandon Brody rushed for a touchdown. Wide receiver Zachary Franklin, 6 catches, 67 yards and a touchdown. And DeCorian Clark, 4 catches, 59 yards and a touchdown. Bailey Zape, man, I'm still high on this guy even though they lost. He went 36 for 59, 577 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 3 times. Rushing game is pretty much non-existent for Western Kentucky, man. They did it all through the air. Top rusher Noah Whittingham had 15 yards. So that tells you right there that the rushing game was pretty much absent. Wide receiver Jarrett Stearns, 10 catches, 179 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mitchell Tinley, 9 catches, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Robichaux rushed for a touchdown. And kicker Brandon Narveson, he had 9 points for Western Kentucky. UTSA, 556 total yards. Western Kentucky, 568. So they outgained them a little bit, and they only lost by 8 points. So anyway, Conference USA champions, UTSA. Pac-12, Utah 38, Oregon 10. I don't know what happened to Oregon. Utah just dominated this game. Oregon didn't even score until the third quarter. So, quarterback for Utah, Cameron Rising, 15 for 24, 170 yards, touchdown and an interception. Tavian Thomas, 18 rushes, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. TJ Pledge rushed for a touchdown. Delton Kincaid, 4 catches, 61 yards and a touchdown. And kicker Jaden Redding had 6 points for Utah. Kicker Camden Lewis had a 42-yard field goal in the third to put Oregon on the board so they wouldn't get shut out. And Travis Dye had a 2-yard rushing touchdown in the fourth. So that was Oregon's points. Anthony Brown, quarterback for Oregon, was 13 for 24, 147 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Utah sacked him 4 times. Travis Dye led the rushing game with 82 yards. Isaiah Croker, 3 catches for 51 yards for Oregon. Ducks, they're a weird team this year. Went to the Horseshoe, beat Ohio State, barely beat Fresno State, lost to a bad Stanford team, pretty much blown out by Utah twice. It's hard to figure them out. And they're losing, looks like 2 coaches, so things may not get too much better for Oregon coming up here next year. Utah's your Pac-12 champions. They ended up with 361 total yards. Oregon, 221 total yards. Big 12 game. This was a great game. Baylor wins 21-16. Baylor's your Big 12 champions. Cowboys mounted a second-half comeback there. Pretty much held Baylor to nothing in that second half. But Baylor defense, they really kept the Bears in this game and helped them win because every time Oklahoma State would get a drive going, Baylor would stop it. Baylor had 2 or 3 great goal line stances and stopped them each time. I mean, it was incredible the way that Baylor defense played on Saturday. Quarterback Blake Steppen, he came in because Jerry Bohannon was injured. He's just a sophomore, but he went 23 for 28, 180 yards, 3 touchdowns. Cowboys did sack him 5 times. Tavion Thomas, 6 catches, 71 yards and a touchdown. Ben Sims, 5 catches, 34 yards and a touchdown. And Drew Estrada, 6 catches, 33 yards and a touchdown for Baylor. Oklahoma State, Spencer Sanders, 31 for 46, 257 yards, 0 touchdowns. He threw 4 interceptions in this game. And I think they said that all year he had only thrown like 5 or 6 or so, but throughout the whole year, but 4 in this game. He did rush for 33 yards. Dominic Richardson had a 4-yard TD run. Kicker Tanner Brown kicked field goals of 23 yards, 23 yards, and 20 yards. And Desmond Jackson stopped at the 1-yard line with 35 seconds left by that Baylor defense. I'm sure we all saw the play. Just came up that short. But anyway, it is what it is. Congratulations, Baylor, Big 12 champions. The MAC championship game, Northern Illinois 41, Kent State 23. For Northern Illinois, Rocky Lombardi was 7 for 15, 102 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did rush for 17 yards and 3 touchdowns, though. Jay Ducker, 29 rushes for 146 yards. Clint Rokovich, 9 rushes, 24 yards and a touchdown. C.J. Brown had a 26-yard pick 6 for the Huskies. And kicker John Richardson had 11 points. Kent State didn't score until the third quarter. Quarterback Dustin Crum was 11 for 21, 128 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Northern Illinois sacked him 4 times. He did run for 68 yards on 15 rushes, so he had a decent day. Backup quarterback Colin Shalee came in. He was 5 for 5, 68 yards. He had a pass for a touchdown. He ran for 22 yards and a touchdown. Dante Cephas had 7 catches for 102 yards. He led receiving. Nakeem Johnson had a 17-yard touchdown catch, and Luke Floria had a 7-yard touchdown catch. Northern Illinois is your MAC champions. They ended up with 368 total yards, and Kent State 391 total yards. Mountain West. We're going to say something about this game here in a minute, but Utah State 46, San Diego State 13. Logan Bonner for Utah State, 29 for 42, 318 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's sacked twice. Cavion Tyler Jr., 17 rushes, 41 yards and a touchdown. Brandon Bowling had 8 catches, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. Pretty good day for him. And Derek Wright and Justin McGriff had touchdown catches for Utah State. San Diego State, they were held to field goals until the fourth quarter. Quarterback Jordan Brookshire, 11 for 23, 117 yards, 0 touchdowns, sacked 4 times by Utah State. Backup quarterback Jalen Maiden threw a touchdown pass. Top rusher was Greg Bell. He only had 50 yards. Jesse Matthews had 8 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Matt Arazia, 7 points. Utah State, the Mountain West Conference champions, 388 total yards. San Diego State, 315 total yards. And one thing is amazing to me is, I'm sorry, San Diego State fans, but going throughout the year and going through the games, it's hard to imagine how San Diego State got to 11-1 before they came into this game. All their yards were the averages were well below all the teams they played. So how they got to 11-1, I don't know if they got some lucky breaks in all their games, because they were outgained in almost every category in every game they played. It's weird how they got there, but they did somehow. But anyway, congratulations to y'all. Y'all had a great season. You just came up way short in this game. But anyway, Sun Belt. Billy Napier wins this one before going to Florida. Hey, the cool thing, though, if you watch this game, there are some Florida Gator fans that showed up in their Florida gear cheering on Louisiana, I guess, for Billy Napier and all that. So that was pretty cool of them. You can tell they're excited about Napier coming over there. Quarterback, Louisiana 24, App State 16. Louisiana is your Sun Belt champions. This was a 10-point ball game at the half. Levi Lewis, quarterback for Louisiana, 15 for 30, 210 yards, touchdown. Sacked 4 times, but he ran for 43 yards and a touchdown. Imani Bailey had 14 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown. Michael Jefferson, 2 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown. Appalachian State, they scored their most points in the second quarter, 7. All the other quarters, if they did score, it was way less than 7. That's Crazy. Quarterback Chase Bryce, 12 of 30, 119 yards, touchdown, sacked 3 times by the Raging Cajuns. Cameron Peoples had 8 rushes, 61 yards and a touchdown. And Thomas Hennigan had 6 catches, 71 yards and a touchdown. Louisiana ended up with 398 total yards. And Appalachian State, 200 and looks like 90 total yards there. Can't read my notes, sorry. All right, SEC championship game. What the hell happened, Georgia? I'm wondering, did they listen to their press clippings finally all year and said, hey, we can beat anybody, and Alabama's not Alabama anymore, we got this? Or did Nick Saban, did he really get on this team this week? And because just a week before, I mean, they barely beat Auburn, took overtime, and now they're coming. I don't know what the hell happened. Anyway, Bryce Young had a great day for Alabama. 26 for 44, 421 yards, 3 touchdowns, ran for 40 yards and a touchdown. A lot of people saying he probably sealed up the Heisman vote right there. We'll see what happens. Brian Robinson Jr., only 55 rushing yards in this game. Jamison Williams, 7 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. John Mechie III, we mentioned earlier, he's out for the playoffs. He had 6 catches, 97 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Battle had a 42-yard pick 6 for the night. And kicker Will Richard had 11 points. Quarterback Stetson Bennett for Georgia, 29 for 48, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 3 times. Top rusher James Cook, 38 yards and 11 carries. Brock Bowers had 10 catches, 139 yards and a touchdown. Lab McCankey, 2 catches, 35 yards and a touchdown. And Darnell Washington had a 5-yard touchdown catch for Georgia. Alabama beat them 41-24. Alabama ended up with 536 total yards. Georgia 449. And I just don't know what happened. I don't know if Georgia... Yeah, a lot of people saying Georgia played some teams this year that aren't up to their potential. And I agree. They played some teams that weren't all that. I mean, they played some good ones, but not some great teams. So, could be Alabama's the great team they met, and they lost to. So, anyway, they still made the playoffs. Both of them did. So, okay, AAC. Cincinnati had a chance to prove themselves, and they did it. They beat Houston 35-20. It was a 1-point game at halftime. Cincinnati outscored Houston in the third, 21-0. So they really turned it on after halftime. I guess Fickle got there in the locker room at halftime and let them have it. Desmond Ridder was 11 for 17, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns. Pretty good game for him. Jerome Ford, 18 carries, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good game for him. Alex Pierce had 2 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Scott had a 25-yard touchdown catch. Leonard Taylor had an 8-yard touchdown catch. Houston's quarterback Clayton Tune, 17 for 26, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 8 times by Cincinnati. Ugh. Alton McCaskill only had 39 rushing yards. That's crazy because he's a pretty good running back. Nathaniel Dell, 9 catches, 158 yards and a touchdown. Jake Harslaw, 5 catches, 57 yards and a touchdown. Kicker Dalton Witherspoon had 8 points. Cincinnati is undefeated in the playoff. They are your AAC champions. They ended up with 400 total yards and Houston 336 total yards. ACC championship game. I thought Wake Forest would, do better or get Pitt more of a game, but because Sam Hartman's a damn good quarterback, I'm not sure what happened there, but anyway, Pitt 45, Wake Forest 21. Pitt is the ACC champion. Wake Forest scored their 21 points all in the first quarter, and that was it. That's all they did. First quarter was great for them. The rest of the game was down the tubes. Quarterback Kenny Pickett for Pitt, 24-33, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked 3 times. He also rushed for a touchdown. Israel Abankaka, I think that's how you say it, 9 rushes, 55 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Addison, 8 catches, 126 yards. He led the receiving. Jared Wayne and Rodney Hammond Jr. also had touchdown catches for Pitt. Eric Hallett had a 19-yard pick six, and kicker Sam Scarton had 9 points for Pittsburgh. Wake Forest, Sam Hartman, not bad. I mean, he has some good numbers. 21 for 46, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, threw 4 interceptions. Pitt sacked him 5 times, but he did run for a touchdown. Christian Turner led the rushing with 34 yards. That could have been the problem right there. The rushing game was pretty much non-existent. Taylor Martin, 4 catches, 83 yards and a touchdown. A.T. Perry, 5 catches, 54 yards and a touchdown. Pitt, your ACC champion, ends up with 385 total yards, and Wake Forest 295. There's another one that kind of shocked me. Well, it didn't really shock me, but I thought Iowa would put up a better fight than they did, but they didn't. And, well, the result was Michigan 42, Iowa 3. Iowa got their field goal, those 3 points in the first quarter. Much like Wake Forest, they scored in the first, and then that was it. Now, Iowa did have some good plays throughout the game. They got some good yardage plays, and it looked like they were going to get down and score, but I guess Michigan defense said, all right, we've had enough of this crap, and they would end the drive, and that was it. So, anyway, and, Iowa, they're ranked number 2, I think, towards the beginning of the year. And they did play some good football there at the beginning of the year, but I don't know, they just kind of fell off from the midseason all the way to the end, and I don't know, but anyway, K. McNamara from Michigan, 16 for 24, 169 yards. He had a touchdown and an interception. Blake Corum, 5 rushes, 74 yards and a touchdown. Hassan Haskins, 17 rushes, only 56 yards, but he did score 2 touchdowns. Running back, Donovan Edwards, he threw a touchdown pass and rushed for a touchdown pass, so he did double duty. Roman Wilson, 2 catches, 82 yards and a touchdown. I think Roman Wilson caught that Donovan Edwards pass, if I remember right. Ursik Ali, 2 catches, 43 yards and a touchdown. Iowa, Spencer Petras, he went 9 for 22, 137 yards, no touchdowns. Top rusher was Gavin Williams with only 56 yards. Top receiver, Sam Laporta, 6 catches, 62 yards. And kicker Caleb Shudock, he kicked the 22-yard field goal in the first quarter so they wouldn't be shut out. Michigan, 461 total yards. Iowa, 279. So we did have a late game. California and USC, I believe it was a makeup from a few weeks ago. California wins 24-14. Chase Garbers was, for California, was 18 for 21, 177 yards, 0 touchdowns, got sacked 3 times. Christopher Brooks, 14 rushes, 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. Trey Foster had a 55-yard touchdown on a fumble recovery. USC, Jackson Dart, 17 for 26, 191 yards, 1 touchdown. Kyle Ford had a 45-yard touchdown catch. Backup quarterback Miller Moss threw a 16-yard touchdown pass to K.D. Nixon. But California ended up with 265 total yards, but USC ends up with 409. They lost by 10 points, but that was you got Army and Navy, but the last regular season game for at least late night. So I don't know if Lincoln Riley was there or not, but like I said, Army 8-3 versus Navy 3-8, 3 p.m. Eastern next Saturday on CBS. I'm still hard to believe that Navy is 3-8. They usually have a pretty good team every year, and I figured they'd be 8-3 playing Army 8-3, but I don't know what happened there at Navy this year. Crazy. Okay, so your CFP on New Year's Eve, number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Cincy in the Cotton Bowl, and number 2 Michigan versus number 3 Georgia in the Orange Bowl. I'm actually interested in both of these games. There's been some playoff games in the past few years that I just wasn't interested in. These because I want to see how Cincy can do. And Alabama isn't Alabama. I mean, yeah, they beat Georgia and beat them like the old Alabama would. But are you going to get that Alabama, or are you going to get the one that almost lost a few games this last year? And against Cincinnati, I think it's going to be a pretty good game. And Michigan and Georgia, both of them are just playing great this year. Good old fashioned teams there from years gone. Michigan, Georgia. That should be a pretty good one in the Orange Bowl. So I'm actually excited about these. All right, so we're not going to go through all the 895 college bowl games there are now. But here's some to keep an eye on that look like they might be pretty good games. December 30th, the Peach Bowl. Michigan State 10-2 at Pitt 11-2. Michigan State's pass defense isn't all that good. And, Pitt's Kenny Pickett. But Michigan State's running game is pretty damn good. So this could be a pretty good game. This is another one I'm looking forward to on New Year's Day. Fiesta Bowl. Notre Dame 11-1 versus Oklahoma State 11-2. That'll be pretty good. The Rose Bowl. Ohio State 10-2 versus Utah 10-3. That should be pretty good. Sugar Bowl. Ole Miss 10-2 versus Baylor 11-2. Citrus Bowl. Iowa 10-3 versus Kentucky 9-3. Iowa, are they going to get it together to beat a Kentucky team that's pretty damn good? We'll see about that one. December 30th, Las Vegas Bowl. Wisconsin 8-4 versus Arizona State 8-4. I actually picked Arizona State to win the Pac-12 South. Didn't work out for me, as you can tell. Music City Bowl. Purdue 8-4 versus Tennessee 7-5. Can first-year coach Josh Heupel get his bowl victory his first year? This one will be pretty good too. December 29th, the Alamo Bowl. Oklahoma 10-2 versus Oregon 10-3. That'll be a pretty good one. Unless Oregon's depressed because they lost their OC and their head coach. that might throw a wrench in their plans, but we'll see. This game's always good on December 28th, the Holiday Bowl. For some reason, that bowl game is always good. UCLA 8-4 versus North Carolina State 9-3. That should be pretty good. Okay, here we go. Christmas Eve, Hawaii Bowl. Memphis 6-6 at Hawaii 6-7. And you might be sitting there, why? Why would I watch that? Because it's Christmas Eve. The next day's Christmas. You got your family over. The women can go talk in their living room, and all the guys can sit around, watch college football on Christmas Eve, drinking beer, and enjoying each other's company. Huh? Christmas Eve on with college football? Man, I always try to watch that game when I can. All right. 12/23, the Gasparilla Bowl. Florida 6-6 versus Central Florida 8-4. And again, you're probably asking why? Because Florida isn't Florida, and Central Florida would love to beat their cross-state, I won't say rival, but beat the cross-state Mighty Gators. They would love that. So that might be a game worth watching to see if they can do that. 12/18, I guess this is a new one. I don't remember this bowl last year, the LA Bowl. Utah State 10-3 versus Oregon State 7-5. Even though Oregon State's 7-5, they're a pretty good team. 12/17, December 17th, the Cure Bowl. Northern Illinois 9-4. Your conference champions there versus Coastal Carolina 10-2. That might be something to keep an eye on there. So that's the ones that I would keep an eye on. Of course, you might be like me. If there's nothing on Wednesday night, early in the next couple of weeks, you might watch whatever bowl game that is. I mean, I do. If I don't watch it, I'll keep checking back on it and see what's going on. Okay, FCS playoffs. Like I said, we had 24 teams. We are down to 8, and this is only December 5th? Yeah, so FBS, CFP, college presidents, ADs, network people, it can be done. It can be done. So quit with your lame-ass, stupid excuses. Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, Montana, James Madison. That will actually be on ESPN too. And both these teams have been good, quite a while every year. So if you're looking for some good playoff football, check this one out. Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Montana State at Sam Houston. That'll be on ESPN+. Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, South Dakota State at Villanova. That'll be on ESPN+. Saturday noon, Eastern Tennessee State at North Dakota State. That'll be on ESPN because ESPN is just in love with North Dakota State. They do game days there and everything else. So, actually, I'd rather see them put Montana State and Sam Houston on, but They never go to Sam Houston or Montana State for game day. They always go to North Dakota State. So naturally, it's going to be on ESPN. And if you want to watch the other ones, you got to pay for their subscription, which used to be free. Remember that years ago? You could watch any game you wanted on the ESPN's app website for free. Now they charge for it. Anyway, that's your FCS. All right, so basketball, we did have a couple upsets. Nothing happened pretty much during the week. Everybody won that's supposed to win. But on Saturday, number 18 Memphis lost to Ole Miss, 67-63. Ole Miss is not ranked. Memphis leaders, DeAndre Williams played 23 minutes. He had 13 points. Earl Timberlake, 24 minutes and 11 points. And Tyler Harris, 9 minutes, 9 points for Memphis. Ole Miss's Jankel Joyner, he played for 33 minutes. He had 20 points, and he led the team with 8 rebounds. Matthew Murrow, 32 minutes, 19 points. Jamin Breakfield, 15 minutes, 7 points. And then they had a big one. Alabama not only won the SEC championship, but their basketball team beat the number 3 Gonzaga. Alabama 91. Alabama was ranked 16th. I'm sure they're going to move up. And Gonzaga was ranked 3. I'm sure they're going to drop a little bit. But they beat Gonzaga 91-82. Jaden Shackelford, 38 minutes, 28 points. He led the team with 9 rebounds. J.D. Davidson, 26 minutes, 20 points. And Javon Quinterly, 31 minutes, 17 points for Alabama. And for Gonzaga, Drew Timme, 36 minutes, 23 points. Julian Strother, 28 minutes, 13 points. Chet Holmgren and Anton Watson both had 10 points for Gonzaga. And Chet Holmgren led rebounds with 11 for Gonzaga. Well, that's it. Our football season is over. Bowl season starts. Next Saturday is going to be really weird because you only got one football game, Army-Navy. And then you got some FCS ones, but they're not on TV. But it's kind of a sad time of year, really. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but man, I'm going to miss Saturday flipping in between, 10 to 12 different channels, looking at different games, seeing what's going on, but it is what it is. But hey, bowl season starts, the FCS playoffs are still going on. We've got some good basketball going on, as you can see, a couple of these upsets, and it's only going to get better, especially in January when all the conference play starts. Anyway, that is it, man. Y'all have a good week. Be safe. Be careful. We'll be back Thursday to go over some basketball and anything that pops up in football. I'm sure more coaches are going to be gone. Coaches are going to be hired. Anyway, y'all have a great week, and we will see you on Thursday.